The Chinese Foreign Ministry says China is vehemently opposed to the DPRK's nuclear test. A statement released on Monday said the Chinese government has taken a firm and consistent stance to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. The ministry also stated that it continues to oppose the proliferation of nuclear weapons in an effort to maintain peace and stability in Northeast Asia. The statement voiced strong demands that the DPRK stop any activity that may worsen the situation and return to the track of the six-party talks. Earlier on Monday, South Korea's Yonhap news agency reported that the DPRK has fired short-range missiles and also declared a successful end-round nuclear test earlier in the day. For more about the DPRK nuclear issue, we cross over to Dr. Gao Zhikai. Hello, Dr. Gao.
Good evening.
Good evening. Pyongyang's move on Monday heightened tensions in the East Asian region. The DPRK has swayed further away from the stalled six-party talks. China has hosted these peace negotiations with the aim of dismantling the DPRK's nuclear program. What can the Chinese government do to maintain regional stability and hopefully bring all the concerned parties back to the negotiating table?
Well, I think the nuclear explosion conducted by DPRK this morning was definitely a wrong step in the wrong direction at the wrong time. We, in this part of the world, as well as in the world as a whole, cannot afford to have such destabilizing effect. Therefore, I think the Chinese Foreign Ministry and the Chinese government have taken the right step in condemning such outrageous behavior on the part of the DPRK government, because that's a dangerous movement in the wrong direction. Now, for the moment, I personally believe that the six-party talk framework remains still the only viable framework. And I think we still need to re-engage DPRK despite of its repeated violation of the UN resolution. And I think the international community need to be firmly committed to achieve the ultimate goal of complete denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula, because that's the only right thing to do, and we need to bring the United States, Japan, South Korea, Russia, and all the other relevant parties back to the negotiation table. We should not let ourselves be oblivious of the ultimate goal, that is the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
Thank you, Dr. Gao. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The United Nations Security Council condemning the DPRK's nuclear test as a clear violation of UN Resolution 1718. The Council said in a statement after an emergency meeting that it will begin work immediately on a new legally binding resolution addressing Pyongyang's violations. The Council is demanding the DPRK ban further nuclear tests. It's also called on Pyongyang to return to the six-party talks aimed at eliminating its nuclear program.
What we heard today was swift, clear, unequivocal condemnation and opposition to what occurred. We are now resolved to work on a resolution. We believe it ought to be a strong resolution with appropriately strong contents.
Now, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea says Monday's underground nuclear test involved a more powerful device. The country's official news agency, KCNA, says the test was a new high in terms of explosive power and technology. Li Shang tells us more.
Here in Pyongyang, life is calm and quiet as before. However, the news from here is reverberating around the world.
The DPRK successfully conducted one more underground nuclear test on May 25, 2009. That's part of the measures to bolster up the country's nuclear deterrent for self-defense in every way, as requested by DPRK's scientists and technicians.
Pyongyang says the results of the test helped settle scientific and technological problems arising in further increasing the power of nuclear weapons and steadily developing nuclear technology. But the DPRK is keeping silent about when and where it happened. Seismologists around the world are providing those answers.
On 25th of May 2009, an earthquake, assumed to be man-made, occurred near Kilju of North Hamgyong Province around 9:54 a.m.
South Korea says Monday's seismic jolt was as strong as 4.5 magnitude earthquake and it happened in Kyushu, the same area the DPRK carried out a nuclear test in 2006. Seismologists in Seoul and Tokyo also pinpoint the seismic event in Kyushu. Russia says the blast was about equal in power to the atomic bomb dropped on the Japanese city of Nagasaki in World War II, or about 20 times larger than the DPRK's 1 kiloton test in 2006. Meanwhile, South Korea's Yonhap news agency quoted anonymous sources saying that DPRK launched 3 short-range missiles off its east coast following the underground test. Li Xiang, CCTV.